It's Monday, April 14th, and you're listening to the Geek News Central. This is show number 941, sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com. Get 32% off at GoDaddy or pick up a domain name for $2.95. All of my GoDaddy specials can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Geek News Central is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. Hey, folks, got a great show lined up for you. I tell you, it's great to be back in Honolulu. We got a little eclipse action going on at this very moment, but we're clouded over. Talk about that here in a few minutes. Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
Or go fly.
Microphone.
Or go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right, I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There is no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Aloha, everyone, and welcome to Geek News Central. My name is Todd Cochran. I'm glad to be back with you here in Honolulu, back in the studio. I tell you, the weather here is a little bit nutso right now. I got back in the, it was like gale force winds. Kind of like what's going on? And it's been windy ever since I got back from the great, I guess better word, Northwest. Had a great time in the Seattle greater area, and had a really fantastic time with my students as well. So it was a very successful trip, and but I am glad to be back here in the studio with all of you, and got a great show lined up for you tonight. Of course, my name is Todd Cochran, and you are tuned into or watching Geek News Central. We want you to take a few moments, if you get some time, and come over to geeknewscentral.com itself. Check out the website. Get subscribed to the shows. That way you'll never miss a single episode. You can also hook up with the newsletter. And something that's unique to this show is I send out basically all of the show notes go into an email, and I give you all the links to all the content that I'm going to talk about tonight. So we hope that you'll take some time and, again, get signed up for the newsletter, get subscribed to the show via iTunes or your favorite podcatcher. Catch us on Stitcher as well, if you're using Stitcher as an application. Of course, you can watch us on the Roku, Boxee, Samsung Smart TV, Google TV, all on the Tech Podcast app. So we'll encourage you to get over and get hooked up to the show that way. I've got a lot in tap tonight for you guys. And I'd hoped to have a camera set up really out in the yard. And I was hoping we could pipe in the total eclipse tonight, the moon eclipse, that is. We're in prime viewing area, but right now the clouds are not cooperating. Just a couple of minutes before the show, matter of fact, we had the cables and everything extended out, and it's like, is it going to rain or not? So we brought the gear kind of onto the patio. My son's going to let me know if we get some open skies, and he's going to drag stuff out to the area where we kind of set up, and if it works out, we'll actually go live with the actual eclipse here from Hawaii. We'll see if it happens. If it doesn't, we'll just continue to rock and roll with the show. Hey, I tell you, it's been a really the last show when we went through and I read all the emails from all the listeners and all the feedback. I really do appreciate the support and also the suggestions. It kind of reset me a little bit, and I think that's good to have that from time to time. Here we are, 941 episodes in, 59 to go before the big 1,000. And really, that's a huge, that's kind of this, it seems so far away, but yet we know it's so close. And those of you that have been with me really for, I know there's lots of listeners that have been here in the low hundreds, some even double digits. And to be a fan of the show this long, I tell you, that means something. 9+ years here of content. And you guys still hanging with the show. I do appreciate it. I really, really do. So again, kind of getting back in the groove of things here in Honolulu. So it's after being away a week, it's almost like finding my land legs again, back in the studio. So I do appreciate everyone's patience as we rock through the content tonight, and hopefully I don't get 3 thumbs and destroy the English vocabulary any worse than I normally do. But who knows? It's early yet in the show. So, again, geeknews@gmail.com is a place to reach me via email. I don't know if I'd actually said that or not yet tonight. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter, at Geek News as well. Of course, G+, Facebook, all those links will be in the show notes tonight. So definitely follow us on G+. If you're an insider, thank you for being an insider, supporting the show through the insider community as well. Sam is taking care of that at insider@geeknewscentral.com. We don't have an address yet for our winner from the last show, so we'll be waiting to get that so we can get the prizes shipped off. Of course, we gave away Kindle Fire TV on the last show, and a couple shows before that, we gave away, what was it, Chromecast? No, a Roku Stick is what we gave away a couple shows ago. So a couple of great gifts for our Ohana. And if you're part of the Ohana part of the family here, and those of you that are new to the show, Ohana essentially means family. And if you're brand new, we spend some time at the beginning of our show just kind of wrapping it down, talking story, and then we get into the tech. But this show would not be possible. The lights wouldn't be on without our sponsors. And, of course, the sponsor tonight is GoDaddy.com. And we want to thank GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here of Geek News Central. And I got an email this morning from my GoDaddy rep. And it's really, I usually hear from him at the very end of the month and just a couple of days into the beginning of the month. I don't hear from a lot in the middle of the month. And I wanted to share, see if I can find it here real quick. Let me roll up. And of course, I didn't have this prepped, but I want to read this to you guys. And my rep of this, hey, Todd, I hope you had a nice weekend. Your campaign has been doing well this year. I hope you recognize that we are pleased. I just wanted to ask if there's anything you need from me. Please let me know if you can help with if I can help with anything. So this is a little feedback from my media buyer, the guy that basically makes sure. Well, basically he measures the success of the show, and sent me over some stuff this morning as well. Some links to talking about the new top level domain extensions that are basically they're currently selling and making available. And, there's now over 100 new domain names live, and GoDaddy's apparently captured about 40% of this market. And this is pretty incredible. Now, all of our percent off offers will work on any new domain extensions that is out of pre-registration. Now, the pre-registration is basically about a 3-week period when they first introduce it. You can buy the domain at an incredibly high price, sometimes 4 figures or 5. Then they go into 4 different phases before, and that was a pre-registration area where you can pay the higher dollar amount to actually buy a domain name. And then when it's out of pre-release, anyone can buy it at the price it's going to be. In like Guru, I think those were $29. They're a lot higher than the .coms. But I bought some .gurus, some .directories, a few. I didn't go overboard, but the 32% off code, and I'm understanding, I think now too, both the 25 and 32% off code works. So, this new web land rush for these new domains is big, and a lot of the ones that I've been trying to get are not available. People are spending big money really to score those. It's .beer, .guru, a whole variety of TLDs. I'm waiting for one specifically, .show. I'm waiting for that to come available for obvious reasons. But there's going to be, not just commercial domains. There's going to be campaigns like .hiv and .attorney and .ski. There's going to be all kinds of high-level, really, great TLDs to get. So instead of having, yourcompany.com it could be your company attorney or something to that effect. So, the companies that have actually bought these top level domains have spent a huge amount of money to be able to register them. And I'm going to be sharing a little bit more about the top level domains as we go on. But as a person that's looking to really kind of cash in on this, I really want you to pay attention to it and know that my promo codes work. Now, don't forget, ongoing, we've got all the great deals that you can find at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy, the 32% off code of your new purchases. And I didn't know that one was available for TLDs, but maybe the 25% off code definitely is working with the new top level domain names that are out of pre-registration. Then the 50% off new hosting plans with a free domain, 50% off the first 12 months of Business Website Builder, again with a free domain, the $295.com for one new or transfer, again, .com for the first year, our found product, found 5, 10% off, and again, a whole host of codes that are available for you to use in that 20% off renewal, that Go 20 off too, and they haven't killed it yet. So if you got stuff renewing, using that, I don't get any benefit out of you using the 20% off code as a renewal code. That makes me, that doesn't keep the lights on, but keeps you happy. And so the key right now is to help you guys that have been with us for a long time. Make sure you score those. But again, you can save a lot of money over at GoDaddy. Use my promo codes to the best of your ability and share them with your friends, people that you know, people that you love and care about, because we want you to save a lot of cash. geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Share it wide. And we want to thank again GoDaddy for being a sponsor here. And we'll share with you a little more again throughout the month about these top level domains. But obviously something I'm looking forward to see what I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, because that's a bad thing to do. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that April will continue to be as good a month as March was. It was really helped in a big way, so I'll be honest with you. Okay, so let's go ahead and move back into the stack, and then we'll get into the content. Spent a little longer time on GoDaddy tonight than I should have, but hey, that's the way it goes sometimes. Okay, Eclipse is we'll see how the weather goes here. One thing I did get to do yesterday, I flew back on Saturday, was I cleaned the studio. Not so much scrubbing it down, that comes next, but I got a layer or two off and out the door. Ever since CES, this place had been getting a little creepy. So the studio's clean. You guys never see it, but if I pan the camera a different way, you'd be like, "Oh my God, what's going on in here?" But everything's good, and I'm feeling a lot better. The tonnage is out, and we can actually get between the studio and the cameras and everything else. I hadn't completely unpacked from Vegas. That's how nuts it was. I will say this again about Alaskan Airlines. The seats suck. If they want to improve anything, they can improve the padding on the seat, because in Hawaii we call the thing you sit on, you call it your okole. My okole still hurts from sitting 5.5 hours on those hard seats in Alaskan Airlines. New media shows, we're going to be back on schedule this coming Saturday. Rob and I will have a guest ready for you. So if you tune into that show, thanks for your support. A couple of quick emails that came in before we get into content. I got an email from Jeff, said that, and this was later denied, was that the NSA was basically denying that they had actually been using the bug. There was some controversy back and forth. Someone says, "Oh yeah, they were using the heartbleed bug for a couple of years." The NSA said, "No, we didn't." So a lot of he said, she said type of stuff. But I'll have a link up to the link that Jeff provided me as well. There's also another great article out about a gentleman who was assaulted for wearing Google Glass in the wrong part of San Francisco during a protest. I'll have that link up in the show notes for you to check out. So just a couple of quick emails from Jeff. The rest of you, feel free to email me anytime. Again, geeknews@gmail.com. That's the best way to get through to the show, and we'll have a comment. We'll cover the comments right at the very beginning, as we changed up on the last episode instead of having them at the very, very end. And we are going to look to do some sort of outro music and stuff at the end, so we'll keep you advised on that. Okay, I think that's it. Let's go ahead and get into the content. Again, if you think about becoming an insider, geeknewscentral.com/insider. We appreciate all of our insiders with their ongoing contributions. It is greatly, greatly appreciated in helping us do things that we're doing here. All right, I've got some really cool stuff. I found some really cool stuff tonight. But first thing I want to talk about is that NASA has basically said that light that was on Mars was just a reflection. Okay, now let's go back to the picture. And if we look at this picture, and again, it's grainy, zoomed all the way in, but it looks to me like it's not necessarily a bright day in Mars. It looks to me like maybe the sun is, a little bit on the horizon. This does not look like a reflection. It really doesn't. But NASA's saying, oh no, this is something that was about 200 yards away, and the imaging scientist basically has been looking at the cameras, and he's denied alien life. Of course, the conspiracy theorists are now going to be, you remember back in the UFO days here in the United States, it was swamp gas, or you hit your head, or you really didn't see that. It kind of looks like a spotlight to me. So unless the Russians have something on Mars or someone else, I don't know if they have cloudy days in Mars, but this does not look like a reflection. So anyway, we'll continue to watch this, and the conspiracy theorists will definitely be all over this one. Hey, of course, the SpaceX today was supposed to send a cargo ship to the International Space Station. That did not happen. They had some sort of, I think, helium leak or something like that. But they do have some pretty cool stuff on board. The Robonaut is getting his legs. That's on board the capsule. There's a phone sat. Is a fifth of a series of smartphone-based spacecraft launched into low orbit. And they've got some crowdsourced stuff that's going on board. They have an optical payload, Lasercom Sciences, all kinds of stuff's going up on this launch to the International Space Station. But one of the cool things that they are trying to do on this flight is they are going to do something very unique. They're going to attempt basically recovering the first stage rocket during the Dragon launch. So there's a close-up. Let's see if I can bring this up. Is that going to bring up a video? Let me see if I can do this without totally jacking this thing. This is another article over on space.com. But what's going to happen is this thing is going to go, it's going to take off. And when the first stage basically drops away before the second stage kicks in, they're going to try to recover this by basically doing a retro burn before this thing crashes into the ground. They're going to try to bring part of it back and park it in the ocean. So they're not going to bring it back to land, but it does going to have landing legs. So as if it was going to come back to land. So probably this, they're going to see what success or what orientation it is when they get it down. But it's going to be pretty cool if they're able to bring it down and able to have it upright just before it enters the ocean. It's going to be pretty cool. They say the chance of success is between 30 and 40% on this, and they're pretty excited and are going to be thrilled if they're able to pull it off. But I don't know if we're going to be able to witness the landing or not. I doubt it, because that's kind of a crapshoot on where that thing comes down. But I'm sure they're going to have all kinds of telemetry on this to see what happens. Now, up on the, of course, I got a lot of space news. I kind of wanted to cover that first because of the what was going on tonight with the eclipse. But they've got basically a router has went bad on the International Space Station. It's a data router. And they're calling it a computer, but the computer controls some robotic systems. They're going to have to replace that. This is a backup system that failed. So after the Dragon gets up there, they're going to have to do this spacewalk. And there's also a good article about a gentleman that's going to go to the International Space Station and stay there for a whole year. So I'll just have those links up in the show notes for you to check out. Let's get into some really hard-hitting stuff. And this to me, it makes you go, just a little bit, almost a little bit Minority Report type of stuff. But, it should not be a surprise to any of us that law enforcement agencies are using mobile data, basically mobile phone records, to investigate criminal activity. There's a software platform called Log Analysis. And this is being developed by a firm by a team at Indiana University. And the software uses call records and other info to map hierarchies within criminal organizations. Now, this was tested supposedly in Italy. And by automatically importing call records and removing ambiguous or redundant information, the folks at Log Analysis have been able to streamline the process of analyzing that data. Now, let me show you, if I can, and let's see if I don't know if we can blow this up or not. No, did I just start an ad? But if you look at this, and if you see what happens here, you can see that there's the outer ring, and these are probably the low-level folks that I'll call central figures. And then there's bigger groups that basically, have control of more people, and then, subgroups and so forth. But it all kind of spirals in to 2 or 3 people that are very obviously very high in the hierarchy. And their thought process is pretty simple. The high-level people are not going to be making a lot of calls. Those that they do, they're going to call them the next down in the chain of command. Then those guys, they're in that second layer, are going to be making calls to the grunts, the people that are basically the low-level folks. So through this log analysis and by time of calls and a variety of different things, they've been able to come up with subgroups to be able to tell where in the hierarchy certain individuals fall based upon just their call analysis. And this is pretty incredible, because what they also did is they looked at crimes, and they say they had a murder happen in a certain location. They then watched right around that time period to see what happened to the call data. Or when a crime was committed at someone burglarized a home, and be able to pinpoint hierarchy, what group did it or what individual. So pretty amazing what they were able to do with call records, just basically using this log analysis tool. Now, I would imagine that the criminal organizations are watching for these types of articles. They're going to see this, and they're going to be like, quit using the phones. Because it's pretty obvious that this digital trail doesn't look to be too complicated to organize and look at an organization's hierarchy. They originally set this up to look at gang activity, to figure out the hierarchy in gangs. But being that this was used a lot in Italy, it appears that they were, looking at the mafia here a little bit. And the research behind the paper comes out of Sicily. So makes you go, and you should raise your eyebrows a little bit. But this is really cool. Again, a program being made out of Indiana University. Again, a very simple tool, log analysis. Of course, they need the raw data to make this happen, but it looks to me like they figured it out. Oh, what's going on here? Let me make an adjustment. Can I adjust that? DSK2, yep. Looks like my lower third got moved just a little bit there. That's a little bit better. All right, of course, we talked extensively about Heartbleed on the last show, and some of the fallout is happening. Over a 6-hour period on April 8th, around 900 social insurance numbers were taken from the Canadian Revenue Agency. In a statement released yesterday, the agency provided an explanation for removal of its system from the internet last week, but basically they knew that they were bugged. and that 900 social insurance numbers, equivalent of a social security number here in the United States, or a tax file number, was basically pulled in. I have to kind of give you guys a side note. Got a call from my accountant today, and she says, "Hey Todd, got a problem. The IRS kicked back your tax return." I'm like, "Huh?" I'm looking at my watch. It's April 14th, right? And I'm like, "What happened?" She goes, "We did something wrong." And so she says, "Okay, can I get the birth dates of your kids again?" And they've been doing my taxes for years. And lo and behold, they had the birth dates on my son and my daughter swapped, and are just one block checked wrong, and the IRS kicked it back. This is pretty good. So they resubmitted it today, and so I'm like, that was close. But I'm thinking, crap, now my tax return is, back at the bottom of the stack. It's been in for a little while, but I guess better to be corrected and sent back in than anything else. But anyway, this heart bleed was definitely caused some concerns over there at the Canadian Revenue Agency, or their equivalent of the IRS. Now, those of you that have Android phones, specifically, and this is a version, handsets running version 4.11 of Google's mobile operating systems are also vulnerable to attacks that might pluck passwords, the contents of personal messages, and other private information out of the device memory. So this is a new one. I hadn't heard about phones being an issue, but specifically 4.11. About 30% of Android devices run on version 4.1x. So be aware. But it's possible that some versions besides 4.11 and 4.22 are vulnerable based upon different manufacturers releasing different things. So that's bad here, but definitely 4.11 is an issue. So if you run an Android device, you are susceptible if your phone is running that version. So definitely take a look, get on the phone, call your carrier, ask them when they're going to have an update. One last story on this: the heart bleed bug fix is going to continue to cause major disruption across the internet. We were able to really, in about 12 hours, like I said in the last show, to get everything, make sure we're squared away, give us a chance to review our security procedures, reissue certificates, a whole bunch of stuff we had to do. It's done now. And actually, we decided to do one additional step, something that we haven't done before. We're going to implement based on this. It has nothing to do with the bug, but it's just we're going to take things to the next level. And, but the sheer scale of work by some companies is going to be incredible. So if your sites that you frequent all the time are down, or they're offline or not available, it might be because the administrators are still updating. All right, data breaches, of course, have grown just out of control. And nearly 80%, according to Computer World, nearly 80% of internet users want data sharing restrictions through government regulation. This is, I think that's probably pretty about right. Nearly half of all U.S. internet users avoid at least one type of online service because of privacy concerns. This was done by a marketing research firm, GfK. 18% reported as of January that important personal information was stolen from them online. And of course, a poll from the Pew Research Center and American Life Project found that that was an increase from 11% from last July. But basically, people are getting pissed. They've had enough. They're tired of their data being shared by companies and so forth. But I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see any legislation that's going to basically lock down the data sharing that goes on with the accounts. I get requests, all the time from internet companies asking me to sell our database information, and we won't do it. We won't sell it. But a lot of companies are not. They're not in that position. They're able to just basically wholeheartedly say, "Hey, write me a check, and we're going to share the." And they do. I was talking with someone that I know, a basic acquaintance, and he had informed me, or basically, they were talking about babies, and turns out him and his wife found out that they were pregnant just a few days ago, and of course, I congratulated him, and what's kind of amazing is it's only been. I asked him. I said, Did you buy uh, the pregnancy test kit from a store, and did you use a credit card?" And he said, "Oh no." And his girlfriend, or not his girlfriend, his wife, is in the lower 48. He's here in Hawaii. They're separated because of a job. He goes back and forth. But anyway, she bought the pregnancy test kit off Amazon, and I said, "Oh." I said, "You're done." And he's like, "What do you mean you're done?" I said, They know now that you guys are pregnant." Well, it's funny you said that, because this morning, Toys R Us emailed my wife a coupon, a big discount coupon. He says, "We've never bought anything from Toys R Us." I said, "See?" And so they already are outed by the data folks, or data sharing. There's a trigger. She bought the pregnancy test kit from Amazon, and I didn't even know you could buy that from Amazon. You usually go to the drugstore to get that, and boom, that data gets shared all over the place, and they don't know that they're 100% pregnant yet, but yet Toys R Us is like, well, let's send them a coupon, because they know they're going to need a crib, car seat, they're going to need all that stuff that we all buy when we have kids. And I said, "Oh, you're so dumb. They know." And it's true. It's true. We look at what you search for, and you look at the ads that pop up all the time. But anyway, people want more privacy, and this is just another example of why, this guy's not he's acquaintance. We know each other. If I hadn't overheard them just kind of chatting about, babies that I probably would not even have really known, So it's one of those life events that people have, and but it's just like, wow, just to me, it's like this data sharing is pretty nuts. I'd love to hear you guys, if you guys had one of those incidents happen that really shocked you to the core, where you're looking for something, or you emailed somebody about something, or talked to them, or did a Google search, and for the next 2 or 3 weeks you had ads being popped at you for that particular item or device or service or whatever it may be. I'm real cautious now when I'm searching, and because just because of that exact reason. You guys know that I have I don't know if you probably can't see it, but right behind my head is a humidor, and it's full of cigars, and I'll have a cigar maybe one a month, maybe. Very rare do I have, it's just something once in a while. I'll have a cigar. I have enough cigars to last me until, they put me in a casket and bury me. But I have to buy humidor supplies from time to time. And I've got to the point now where I don't want to go online, and I just call the company and order it over the phone, because it's all these little triggers. Oh, he's buying humidor supplies. He must be a smoker, and what's where do you, where is the line drawn, and where do they then start making an opinion about you based on information they really totally misinformation, because technically if I smoke 5-10 cigars a year, that's that's a lot probably. So anyway, long story short here. This data breaches, data sharing is just going to go on and on and on. And folks are just sick of it. All right, let's switch gears. There's this big reaction on the net right now. OLED TV grows slower than expected. Hello? Of course, OLED growth is slower than expected. Now, we've talked about OLED television sets on this show. I've told you that they're almost more real than life. I mean, just absolutely incredible images, and these televisions are simply beautiful. But the average dude and dudette, is that the right way to say that? But the average geek, man or female, male or female, doesn't have 10 grand to lay out for an OLED television. We got enough to go. Maybe we're going to go to Best Buy or go to Sam's Club or go to to Costco or some other big box and pick up a 70-inch flat screen TV, and maybe you really go and spend the big bucks and buy a real high-end Samsung or other type of manufacturing. You spend $1,500, $1,600, $1,700 for the really nice one, or you pick up a $600 flat screen 60-inch. And for most of us, that is probably the $600 price is probably what most of us are spending. But $10,000, I want an OLED. Don't get me wrong. If I ever have one, it's going to be right behind me. It really will. But I can't afford one. So, of course, OLED growth is slower than expected. Get the price down. Now, I should have actually talked about this topic with the other data mining that's going on. But if you buy a scale on Amazon, it thinks you're a drug dealer. So here's the real world scenario. A guy bought a mini scale, or he looked to buy a mini scale on Amazon. Then the site suggested he also needs a rolling tray, zipper bags, and rolling paper. So, that's kind of like, they were trying to get an American, one of those mini scales that would read, a couple grams. But it was then started offering up zip bags, 1,000, 1.25 by 1.25 zip bags, little itty bitty bags. Raw rolling paper, okay, what are you going to use that for, right? And I'm like, wow. I'm thinking to myself, that is definitely, I think for the majority of us, we'd see that and be like, no, I'm not buying that scale, because that's, all of a sudden, ATF comes kick your door in. Or the DEA, because you bought a scale and it suggested you needed rolling papers and baggies. Someone over there, some smart aleck at Amazon pre-programmed that to give those suggestions. You just know someone did. Google has unveiled email scanning practices in their new terms of service. They updated its terms of service today. And they've informed users that their incoming and outgoing emails are automatically analyzed by software to create targeted ads. This revision more explicitly spells out the manner in which Google software scans user emails, both when messages are stored on Google servers and when they are in transit. Of course, this is a very controversial practice that has been the heart of a lot of litigation that's going on. We know that last month, the U.S. judge decided not to combine several lawsuits that accused Google of violating privacy rights of hundreds of millions of email users into a single class action suit. So basically, this change, according to Google, in a statement said that this will give people even greater clarity and are based on feedback we received over the last few months. Well, it's basically over these lawsuits. So they spell it out. So you probably will have gotten the request to go in and approve the new terms of service. All right, did you hear about this knucklehead, a Dutch teenager? Did you hear what she did over the weekend? A Dutch teenager. Now this is a prime example of something you need to show to your kids. I think I have a daughter that I hear a pissed off 17-year-old talking with her brother. It hasn't made it. You guys, I don't think you guys can hear it yet. That's what she's not happy. Something's going on. So we'll how these teenager fights start. They start with a little bickering back and forth, and then escalate. You guys might be party to this. We'll see what happens. And if I have to leave the set here for a second, you'll get to hear the thunder The thunder come from Hawaii. Oh, it's going up a little bit. They're having a chit chat, so my wife will get involved. She won't let it get too far ahead. She knows I'm doing a show in here. I know you guys can't hear yet, but I'm listening. But okay, speaking of teenagers, a Dutch teenager known only as Sarah tweeted something she should have never done Sunday, and she's been arrested. Now, she basically said she said she was an Al Qaeda member gearing up for a terrorist attack in June, and she basically named a specific date. The airline didn't take the tweet in stride, and after dressing Sarah down, it proceeded to forward her IP address to the FBI, resulting in her arrest this morning in Rotterdam in the Netherlands. And but what really started then was the reaction from teenagers all over the place. They started lobbing additional bomb threats at American Airlines. And it escalated from there. Those jokes threats spiraled into an explicit photo being tweeted by U.S. Airways in the process. A very, very explicit photo. One that was very much not safe for work. And so it's turned into a little bit of a PR nightmare for U.S. Airways. But these teenagers are making all these threats on Twitter. And it's not good. But she tweeted she was an Al Qaeda member, gearing up for a terrorist attack in June. You know, wow. Now, apparently this arrest really happened. I was questioning whether or not it was, but according to The Wire, oh come on. Here's exactly what she said. At American Air, hello, my name's Ibrahim, and I'm from Afghanistan. I'm part of Al Qaeda, and on June 1st, I'm going to do something really big. And then reply by American Airlines, Sarah, we take these threats very seriously. Your IP address and details will be forwarded to the security and the FBI. Then she replies back, oh my God. Oh, OMFG, I was just kidding. I'm so scary. I'm scared now. I was joking, and this is multiple tweets, and it was on my friend, and it was my friend, not me. Take her IP address. I was kidding. Please don't. I'm just a girl. Please. I'm not in Afghanistan. I never did anything wrong in my life. Please save my life. And she gained 20,000 followers over the weekend over this. But Rotterdam Police Department did report that she has been arrested. So we'll see where this leads. Don't make terroristic threats on Twitter or any other site. This stuff will get you in jail in a New York minute. All right, hacker Weave demands bacon following prison release. Weave is a free man following reversal of his hacking conviction. We know internet troll Andrew Weave Arheimer demanded bacon, cream cheese, and alfalfa sprouts following his Friday release from prison hours after federal appeals court vacated his conviction. He said he lost 17 pounds in prison following his 2012 hacking conviction, which would view as a test of the reaches of the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. The Third U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals did not rule on the merits of the hacking claims, and instead concluded that he should have been tried in his home state of Arkansas, not New Jersey. Of course, he was in prison for obtaining and disclosing personal data of about 140,000 iPad owners from a public available AT&T website. So we've talked about that article, but he is free. No word whether or not he'll be don't know, double jeopardy. He may not be able to be tried again. Google has patented a tiny camera that's going to be embedded in a contact lens. Google has a new patent application with the USPTO, which takes one of the basic concepts of glass, extends it even further, embedding tiny cameras that could be embedded in a contact lens for various uses, including photographing what a wearer sees or providing the basic input for a contact-based assistive device for the visually impaired. So very interesting stuff here on where they're headed with that. Also, tomorrow you can get Google Glass. You're going to have to and I sent out a tweet on the link to go to basically get the invite. You're probably too late if you haven't started the process already. Link will be up in the show notes tonight if you want to try to order Google Glass tomorrow. 1 day only. The Internal Revenue Service has missed the XP deadline. It's going to now be required to pay Microsoft millions for custom support. They've got some incredible number of machines. They figure it's going to cost them like $11 million a year to pay Microsoft to basically support their XP machines. And they're not the only ones. In Britain, I think they've got 55,000 machines that haven't been updated yet. But, the IRS, it's not like they didn't know this was coming. They've only had 8 years or something to that effect to prepare. But $11 million of your taxpayer dollars are going to basically the IRS to maintain Windows XP on machines they've got there, leaving them with $29 million in remaining funding to upgrade to Windows 7. If you live in the state of Missouri or you go through the state of Missouri, they will scare speeders with an ear-piercing sound cannon. The LRAD sound cannon is a directed sound communication device that can blast sound waves over long distances. Has been used in Afghanistan to occupy Wall Street. Now it's being deployed by the Missouri Department of Transportation to slow down speeders, specifically around construction areas and where they have trucks in motion. So there's a pretty cool video on the test they did back in November, trying it out on their on their equipment. Maker Studio saying that Disney acquisition is approved by shareholders who reject, and basically they got a late hour bid by Relativity. They were going to offer $1.1 billion, mostly in stock, but Maker's basically saying it's done deal. Disney, it's sold to Disney. We're done, pal. Finished. You're too late. Google search ranking boost for websites with encryption. This is being considered by Google. A new report published claims that Google may consider boosting search engine ranking of websites that use encryption. Google's WebSpan chief, Matt Cutts, hinted at this possibility recently at a conference. That's pretty big. People familiar with the matter tell the Wall Street Journal that Cutts has also spoken about this change in private conversations. Apparently, internal discussions at the company about the change are still at a very early stage. I don't know why you would want to make your site encrypted, your SSL encrypted. It's an interesting move. And I didn't know how that affects the search engine indexing. Maybe it doesn't. Interesting move. But this will freak you out just a little bit. Police are testing a live Google Earth to watch crime as it happens. In Compton, California, last year, police began quietly testing a system that allowed them to basically watch every car and person in real time as they ebbed and flowed around the city. The Center for Investigative Reporting takes a look at a number of the emergency surveillance technologies in a video, but this one from Compton pretty much stands out. They basically have a airplane that is basically in orbit around the city for up to 6 hours, and they've got high-resolution cameras that track everything. And the police can hook a vehicle or a person and track that vehicle, wherever it goes or wherever a person walks in the field of view. It's called PSS, and apparently this has been tested in cities including Baltimore and Dayton, Ohio, and Compton has used it as a test as well. So the man in the sky is definitely going to be watching you through this new technology. Those of you that are on Comcast, Netflix streaming speeds jumped 65% after their drug deal they made with them and paid Comcast off. So that shouldn't come as a surprise. Google has picked up Titan Aerospace. So they don't know how much money they spent for as much as $60 million. But apparently Facebook was interested in the drone maker Titan Aerospace because they have the ability, or they claim that the drones they have can provide speeds up to 1 gigabit per second and hopes to begin commercial operations by next year. Of course, speeds up to a gig are pretty fast, are faster than most broadband connections. So Google has basically said that atmospheric satellites could help bring internet access to millions of people around the world, particularly those in remote locations. It's still early days, the spokesman said. Even DARPA has been thinking around the same lines. It's working on a project that utilizes unused drones from Iraq and kits them with a pod that can provide internet where needed. So link will be up in the show notes to that. Kind of cool thoughts, huh? So a couple of last articles here before we get wrapped up tonight. And Apple is seeking to raise the iPhone 6 price by $100. So they're talking with wireless carriers about pricing increases. So it could cost you another $100 for the iPhone 6. The EFF is reporting that the feds are planning to put 52 million faces into a recognition database. System would identify faces as part of a biometric collection. This basically, the FBI is expanding the facial recognition components of its biometrics database to catalog and search the faces of more than 52 million folks. And according to the FBI, the NGI database is a project of the Bureau of Criminal Justice Information Services, which, with the aid of outside contractors, building this new database. So I don't know who they're going to put in there. I guess they're going to put in government employees, criminals. What else? They're going to have archive with scar and tattoos as well. Iris images. Of course, anyone going into the judicial system, going into the prison system these days, get an iris scan collected on them. So all kinds of stuff here to the FBI wants to be able to, if someone does a crime, they want to be able to, put a face to a name. And I'm sure this is where they're going with this. But, employers could provide a mugshot photo along with your fingerprints and store that biographical data. Anyone that does childcare or anything like that already has to go through a review process, give up fingerprints and so forth. My wife was a childcare provider for a couple of years when we lived in Maryland, and we all went through the review process. I think it's good. They want to make sure that there's no pedophiles in the family, no criminals, all that stuff. They, do a background check. And of course, having been in the Navy, they got all my pictures and data on file, including, I think, DNA, as part of if they swabs you, if you get shot down overseas somewhere and end up dead, they found you 20 years later, they'd be able to use the DNA to identify you. So I'm sure that's in some big database in the sky. All right, Microsoft has made Office Online available in Chrome. So this is big. So Office Online, which is renamed Office Web Apps, we know already worked in the Chrome browser as well as Internet Explorer and Safari, but Microsoft is going a step further and allowing Chrome users to add Word Online, PowerPoint Online, and OneNote Online to their Chrome app launcher. And so basically single click on the desktop to be able to initiate that. So Microsoft stepping up the game here when it comes to its Office suites. Napster co-founder Sean Parker is going to be leading a civic startup. It's all going to be about politics. The company called Brigade is designed to combat lack of political engagement and interest in all levels of government across America. Although the firm's roadmap is unclear at this time, Silicon Valley magnates Sean Parker, Ron Conway, and Mark Benoff are among the big-time investors in the company. So we'll see where this leads. I don't know if they're going to be a partisan type of organization, a partisan site, but anytime you mix politics and tech, it gets a little bit weird. Google's going to be updating Glass this week as well. It's called KitKat, and it's going to arrive, I guess, ahead of tomorrow's big sale. I didn't see an update being announced to me yet. As a matter of fact, I got Google Glass right here on the charger, so I need to look in and see if it's asking me to update. But they're removing the video calling, which is kind of a interesting move. And finally tonight, last two articles, actually last single article, there's a site out there that had a bunch of kids try to use a Sony Walkman. And it's a pretty funny reaction as these kids use this technology and try to figure out what exactly it is. It's kind of amazing that something that many of us used 30 years ago, the kids of today are like, this is dumb. Oh gosh, has it been that long? 30 years for the Sony Walkman? Doesn't seem like that long ago. I guess that's a sign of getting old. All right, folks, that wraps me up today. Thanks so much for being here. And my son didn't come in and get me, and I'm looking out the window. Oh man, I think we're going to be dark for the eclipse here in Honolulu. But I hope you were able to see it in your neck of the woods and got up in the middle of the night and stuck your head out the window, because for many of you, it is the middle of the night or midnight or 3 o'clock in the morning, depending on where you're at. I guess we'll all watch it on the news tomorrow with someone that was able to capture it. But I want to thank all of you for being here and being part of the Ohana. I definitely appreciate all of you that are insiders that contribute to the show on a monthly basis. It is my sincere thank you to that. And for those of you that don't worry. It's all good. You're still part of the Ohana, and we still love you here as part of the family. And we definitely encourage you to make sure that you don't miss a single episode of the show. But we'll be back with you on Thursday for a regular show here. And as I get back in the groove of being back in the studio, how'd you guys just like the audio only? Did you was it a little more intimate? Or for those of you that watch the video portion of this from your lazy boys, did you guys miss the last two shows of video? I know the audio numbers were way up because the video audience came over and grabbed the audio only. And so I know that was I kind of was wondering what was going to happen there. But thanks for the video folks that bared through just hearing me instead of looking at my ugly mug for an hour. But again, just to wrap this up, my name is Todd Cochran, and I'm a pleasure to be your host. geeknews@gmail.com. Twitter address is @geeknews. We'll see you on Thursday, everyone. Take care next time. See ya. Aloha.